So if the property is still there after a week, that's a great time to talk to the listing agent and just kind of find out what type of activity has been going on, answer those questions about what the seller is looking for. Because again, it's not always price. And kind of getting a full picture of what is going on with that property so that you can then come back to your clients with a plan. And sometimes that works with properties that are actually like a little bit over where the buyer's like price point is, like obviously not like crazy significantly over, but if you can, it might be something that they weren't thinking was going to be an option. But if you're able to connect these different dots, you may be able to bring it into the scope of what they can do.
So that's really great advice. And when do you usually go over this with people? Is it before they start looking? Is it during the process? Like what's your?
It's usually during the process,
Okay.
because I found that it can be overwhelming throwing too much at people all at once.
Okay.
So I'll usually give a breakdown of how the process works, what it looks like. I'll do the buyer's consultation. But then as we go through the process is when I kind of bring up more options. Now I may say something to them about, in that initial buyer's consultation, when I'm talking about the process and like what we're looking for and what to expect out of it. I could certainly bring things up like days on market. But I feel like that gets a little bit, I get more into it a little bit later into the process.
Well, I like the idea of you walk into a home and you say, hey, this home's been on the market 14 days. That indicates there might be some opportunity, and then explaining it as you go, because if you throw too much at people, you are going to overwhelm them. So you're absolutely right. I mean, you think about like when you go to the doctors or like your accountant and they tell you all this stuff at the beginning. It's like,
yeah.
I'm kind of out of this.
Right. Now, like going into any showing, as long as I had time to prepare for it, the exceptions would be, I guess, if we're out looking at properties and then they're like, oh, we want to see this one too. And I'm able to like schedule it on the go. Like, full disclosure, I don't know everything about every house that's on the market, just like by heart. So like I do have to like look through and figure things out. But as long as I had the time to prep for it, one of the things that I will cover when we go into the home is how many days it's been on market.
Yeah, and that's a really smart thing to do because it gives the picture of the history. And then you can look at pricing history, which, right now what we're seeing that through June, there was a 25.6% share of all the homes that were listed had a price cut. Now, you got to look at what's happening locally. I mean, Denver, Colorado, they had 36.8%. That's a much different market. Phoenix, Arizona, 36.6%. If you look at the Philadelphia area, let me get down the chart here because our market is a little better than others. When you look at the Philadelphia metro here, Philadelphia had 22.2% of all the listings that were on the market had a price cut in the month of June. Now, this is a little bit of a lagged piece of data here as well. It's not like it's the most recent stuff. And that tells me that there is an opportunity here or a moment in time where we've seen rates hit, 6.57, 6.58% nationally, according to Mortgage News Daily. We're seeing more price cuts than we've seen in years. I mean, and when you look at this research that Lance Lambert did over at the Resi Club Analytics website, I mean, these are just look at Philadelphia, forget the rest. I mean, we're, in 2018, it was 20.8%, 2019, 23.5%. This is the highest number of price cuts since 2019 before the pandemic. Then it dropped to 14, 15% in 2021. So that's showing there's some flexibility in the market. You look at days on market, like you talked about, that's a great signal. And then all of a sudden, there might be an opportunity for people to get the home that they want and get like inspections and mortgage contingencies accepted. And with these rates coming down to the lowest levels all year, your payment went down a little bit too. So I am very optimistic, especially these last couple weeks of August, because if you're not, we were just talking about this before the show. I mean, I was at the office today and, we sold, I think we sold like 11 or 12 homes this week, which is great already, but it's pretty quiet. Like, I mean, and you were at the meeting last week. It was a little less people there. People are just on vacation. That's just what happens.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about the price cuts too is looking at how many days it took for them to do a price adjustment. Have they done more than one? How much did they adjust by? Which obviously at different price points, that's going to like, matter. But those details can kind of give you some good insight into the seller motivation.
I agree, because there's some sellers, they tell you, hey, well, Sarah, why isn't anybody making an offer? We're out there. You don't even get the showings you're going to get when you're priced out of the market. So when you have these price cuts with folks, are you talking about segments in the market? Are you sharing thresholds with them, or are you just kind of going with the flow? I know the answer, but I want you to share this with the listeners.
I'm usually talking about something a little bit more strategic than just like drop it $1,000 that it shows you did a price cut,
How about the dollar price? You ever see those? It's like, what are you doing on the MLS?
Yeah. So usually, and it always kind of depends on like what price point you're at. And like, there's different things that factor into it, but you want it to be significant enough that it's going to actually like make a difference and like capture attention, and not just like be waving like a little flag up in the air that like, hey, we're open to a different number, you want it to actually capture a new group of people. But depending on what price point you're at, you also don't want to give everything away. So you have conversations with the seller about, what number would probably generate the most results. But if that's not a number that we're comfortable going to right away, and if that doesn't really make sense for us, it does make more sense to go to a number in the middle there, like where they're comfortable. But you will see these, you'll see homes that have been on the market for a long time, and the price adjustments have been, $3,000, like something under even $5,000. And that to me usually says, all right, the seller really didn't want to come down on price. Like this was a like, fine, I'll come down a little bit, but it also indicates like they're really not trying to like, this isn't them waving a white flag necessarily, right? Like I don't know. There's just like, there's a lot you kind of read into it.
Well, and there's some agents out there, and this is the problem. My friend Jill Biggs put this billboard up, and it said, your cousin sold 2 homes last year. We sold 520 something. List responsibly, like drink responsibly. Very, very clever billboard. Some agents think that strategy is like, oh, well, an email is going to go out to everybody looking, and they're going to see your home again. If people think buyers aren't constantly looking for properties when they're ready to buy something, I've got some bad news for them. There are people that miss stuff sometimes. I've been on the other side of that where they miss the listing, and people get a little ticked off. But that strategy doesn't work. Buyers are too smart today to buy into these like dollar price, and you see people like they raise the price, they lower the price. It's so silly, and to me that shows as a seller you're going to be difficult, and and you're not a deal maker. You're not ready to get the job done. So
like you're not there yet. You're trying to like position yourself like, okay, let's bring in some more people, but more likely than not, you're going to try and like make that up in some other area, and like just entering into that, like, is going to be a whole thing.
I could not agree more. So, and what you said was, hey, you give advice, you tell them, hey, here's what we can do. And we know that buyers always look up to the maximum amount they can afford. Buyers, they always go to like the top number. And if you can look at thresholds where you might get new eyeballs on the home, that can be an effective strategy. You also got to look at the time of year. Maybe, in the month of August, you may not want to be making a bunch of drastic price adjustments, depending on if you've been on the market a week or two, but it's been a couple months, probably a different story. That's where it's important to have a local expert that can guide you on this.
And then you also need to talk about, like, for the seller, what is most important to you here? Is it getting this under, is the timing like most important? Like, would getting this under contract and getting this closed sooner for potentially a little bit less, we don't know, but like, is that going to be more important to you than kind of staying course here and not making all of these adjustments right away? And because like sometimes people, you need to unload that property, you need to be able to move on to the next thing, you have to be able to like close this chapter. For other people, no, it's like, do I want to get it under contract and sold and closed and not have to deal with this? Obviously.
Of course,
but no, I'd rather hold out and give it a couple more weeks, and see where we're at. So having that conversation so that they get to be the one making the decision, I think is important too.
I agree. And if you look at the data around this, if your agent's not having this conversation with you, they're probably not doing their job. That's my point of view on this, because so many people are afraid to have the adjustment conversation. And it doesn't have to be negative. It's got to be just real. Like, hey, here's what's going on. Here's our options. And if you look at the data around this, two-way communication, more, and this is where I think it goes south for a lot of agents. 89% of clients, according to the NAR study that came out about home buyers and sellers in 2024, they looked at two-way communication as one of the major factors in building trust. And clients who receive weekly updates are 60% more likely to refer their agent. And lack of communication is the leading complaint in 42% of negative real estate reviews on Zillow. So this is a really important conversation. Even when you're not getting activity, it doesn't mean your agent should not be calling you. So
Right.
we're seeing
that might be one of the times you need to hear from them the most.
I think it's the most. Yeah, when things are going well, it's like, who cares? But
Yeah.
I shouldn't say who cares, but it's easier to maybe be lax there for folks when things aren't going well. A lot of people avoid this and it's not an easy conversation. You've had it many times. I've had it thousands of times. It's probably one of the most difficult conversations in real estate.
It only gets worse if you avoid it.
Yeah, you got to get ahead of it. I couldn't agree more. So we're seeing that price cuts, the percentage of homes with price cuts are up. When you look at what the rates have hit their lowest level all year, we talked about that last week, and that thanks to that jobs report that we saw. We're seeing active listings are up 16.7% through the month of July in the entire Philadelphia metro area. So I see these things happening, and showings are down 3.7% compared to where they were last year. So you got a little less competition. You got more inventory on the market, lower rates, prices aren't going down. I want to be very clear. If you look at the median sold price, it's up 6% year over year. So prices are not going down. What has happened is sellers are becoming more realistic. Mm-hmm. And to me, I see these next couple weeks. I see these next couple weeks as really, if you feel like you've been shut out on the market, now's your opportunity, because once Labor Day hits, you're going to see a lot of people jump back in the market pretty quickly. That happens every year. Anything you're seeing? I mean, is that kind of what's your take on that, Sarah? What's your observation there?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great time to really kind of like push through and be out there when your competition's a little bit lower. And there is absolutely opportunity out there right now. So I think kind of like grinding through and sticking with it and is what ultimately is going to help you get the house.
I could not agree more. You never want to give up on this. And you look at what's going to happen with competition. So there's all this Fed noise out there right now. We saw last week that one of the Federal Reserve governors resigned. That was appointed by President Biden. New appointees in until the term's up in 2026. Now, Federal Reserve Governor Bowman made the case for 3 interest rate cuts. This just happened on Monday. Michelle Bowman said Monday, the article came out, that she's looking at 3 interest rate cuts this year, given concerns about the strength of the job market and the overall U.S. economy. We saw inflation data come out today. We saw 3% inflation readings for the first time. And we saw that, in a while, I should say, it was 3.0. It was a little above expectation. Let me get the exact stats on this here so everyone's clear. And we don't, these are the CPI readings here. So prices overall increased 2.7% from last year, similar to June. And if you look at on a monthly basis, costs increased 0.2% after rising 0.3% the month before. And the annual increase of core inflation went to 3.1% from 2.9%, the highest since February. So we're seeing that inflation's going up a little bit. We're seeing that Michelle Bowman's making this case of, hey, we need to have 3 rate cuts. I don't see that happening.
No, I'm not even fully believing there'll be 2.
We should make a wager on this show. There's definitely the next meeting. There's going to be a cut. Yeah, I think that's very clear.
I am on board with 1 cut next month. I'm not positive about a second, and I certainly.
What if it's a 50 basis point cut?
What?
So instead of 225 cuts, I I
So
see
you
a
think
total of 50.
September?
Well, my hypothesis here
Yeah.
is that we see 50 basis points get cut, whether it's once 120, 150 or 225s, right? It's
Okay.
like I that's what we're looking at, and
Yeah.
that would be kind of extreme. I don't think we're going to see that happen. But if we're going to make this, think about this. We can talk about it next week because
Okay.
I see a total of 50 basis points getting cut by the end of the year.
Okay.
Cause the Fed's in turmoil right now. They had the
Yeah.
first time since '93. I was 11. Okay, like the Phillies made the playoffs for like the first time in like my first 30 years on the planet. The first time that happened, you see people voting against each other in the Fed. There's turmoil in the Fed
Yeah.
right now, and so I think they're going to feel some pressure here and actually make a decision. That's at least my hypothesis here. But you're
Okay.
anti, is what it sounds like.
Well,
I like that we're disagreeing a little bit here,
yeah.
Sarah. I think that's healthy.
All right. So then I'll say I don't see 75 basis points.
No, yeah, 75. I wouldn't. I mean, that's that's wild. So
yeah.
So you think there's going to be 125 basis point cut?
I think there's going to be 125 basis point cut in September. Is it possible that there could be another one later in the year? Yes, but I'm not like holding my breath or being like, oh yeah, I feel very certain that is going to happen. Like it could happen, but I'm not like I'm not like convinced that it's like a given.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, there's a lot that can happen between now and the September meeting, let alone the October or December meeting. So, but what is clear is that the Fed is under pressure. I mean, you just had a Biden appointee get replaced with a Trump appointee. That's no different than like when the Supreme Court does that, right? They've got some different values. That's how this stuff works. And for the people that don't take advantage of this moment in time, whether there's one rate cut, two rate cuts, apparently Michelle Bowman wants 3 rate cuts. Mm-hmm. That stuff starts to happen. You've lost your moment in time to take advantage of the market right now. And I'm really talking about these. And you got to find the right home. You got to be okay being there the next 5 years. The payment has to work. Past that, if you can check those boxes, I wouldn't be waiting at this point because there's going to be decisions that get made. And I'm a big believer you want to be a buyer when there's not a lot of other buyers out there. I've done that personally before. And you guys bought your home right around like the holidays, right? I think it was like December. I want to say.
No, it was March.
Okay. It was really I vividly remember talking to you and Eric about this at like a holiday party.
Oh, wait.
You went under contract.
Yeah, we went under contract in maybe like January or February.
I'm pretty sure it was January because there was a playoff game on.
Yeah.
And we were at the media town. I remember this. Eric remembers the conversation a lot for some reasons we're not going to talk about on the show. Yeah. But we've talked about this since then. But I mean, that to me is like a smart time because you're not dealing with all this competition. Rates come down to 6. It's going to be flooded with competition for people. So I think you've got to really think about where do you want to be, and if the right opportunity arises, don't just buy something to buy something. But this moment in time here, to me, is it's not going to be here long.
Right. I agree.
All right. So why don't we do? So we got the CPI data. Are you surprised inflation came in where it did? I mean, we're seeing it's hitting. It's the highest it's been in a while. I mean, I was hoping it was going to be a little lower. Again, the CPI rose 2.7% in July on an annual basis, and we hit 3% numbers here for the first time all year. When you look at the year-over-year numbers, it's the CPI inflation. It climbed to 3.1% from July of last year. That's a 2.9% annual pace, and it's the fastest annual rate for core CPI since February. Is that surprising to you?
I mean, everything feels expensive. So.
I agree with that. Where were we? I was talking to you. I think it was with your cousin, and we were talking about like a bag of like shredded cheese costing like $7. Like that's just wild to me. So, I mean, do you think this has something to do with the tariffs, or is just everything's expensive? I don't know. The tariffs to me are so. It's like this like theory that's like floating around.
Right. I mean, I feel like the tariff stuff is like shifting all the time. For like I don't even know necessarily what is actually going on and what is just being talked about going on and what's like upcoming and then what they've like gone like cut back on. So like that to me is always like shifting. I'm sure it's factoring in. But yeah, no, I mean, I feel like you go to like you're in the grocery store and you're just like, how is this that price? Like, this is crazy. So, and then it just like carries over to like everything. Everything's expensive.
So I agree with that. And if you look at This is from Michael Pierce, the Deputy Chief U.S. Economist at Oxford Economics. We expect core CPI will rise further to a peak of 3.8% by the end of the year as tariffs bleed through more fully to consumer prices. And the CNBC article goes on to say tariffs are a tax placed on import. And we know that. It's a tax placed on imports paid by U.S. companies that import the good or the service. And businesses generally pass on those higher costs to consumers, at least in part. And the Budget Lab at Yale University estimates the average household will lose $2,400 in the short run as a result of all the tariffs the administration put in place as of August 6th.
Right. And I mean, just like the trickle down of it. It's not just like the direct products that you're getting. It's like it trickles down to the companies that like need to import a piece of machinery to make something that is made here. Prices are still going up. Like it is just across the board. Thank you.
Well, and I mean, part of that too is there's two sides to this whole thing. I think that the thing is that this wasn't really brought into focus. Everyone talks about this, but the U.S. has been running at a deficit with tariffs in the first place. So I get you said it's fluid. You know why? Because they're trying to negotiate better deals for the country. This whole thing is, we're not going to see the effects of this, I don't think, really for like a year. I think this may be a blip, and then it could go down. Who knows?
Sure.
So, and then Steve Mirren, the chair on the White House Council of Economic Advisors, said that the CPI data shows no evidence whatsoever the tariffs have fueled higher consumer prices. It hasn't panned out. So I think it's too early to tell. Like, you can't look at one monthly reading, in my view. But who knows? I think this is going to be going on here for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So we talked about this moment in time. That's what this segment is all about. Any other advice you have for people that are selling or buying? I'm a big believer the moment in time applies to buyers more than anybody else right now.
Yeah, I think for buyers, this is a really great time to get out there and to write the offer. Like the surest way to not get the home is to not go for it. So if there's something like, if you like a home at a different number than what it's listed for, if you are, have been rejected on different terms that you've had in place in offers that you've written in the past, this is a little window here where you may be able to, I mean, it's not like a guarantee, but it's worth writing it. It's worth writing the offer and at least seeing what they have to say. And I think this is the time to do it.
I agree there. And what I'll tell people is I look at it from the real estate side, and we're going to actually pass this on to what that's going to mean for consumers, because it's not the person that's like considering a move in the next 6 months. That's not who this moment in time is all about. Have you been out looking at homes regularly? Have you written an offer? I mean, you think about these stages we have in our CRM. Have you met with these people? Or have you been out and met with a couple agents? If you're down the decision-making process, that means you're out like going and visiting homes or writing contracts. That's who need to pay attention.
Yeah.
And there's homes that are out there that, I mean, my wife and I, Bridget, we purchased our home when the market was shut down in May of 2020, and the home had been on the market like 2 years. So that's like the thing's sitting there, and it's all of a sudden you try to find those opportunities. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And if you've looked at many homes, you maybe got frustrated with inventory, or there's a home that you've been watching, like that to me is, if you got your eye on something, don't sleep on writing an offer on that property right now, because any seller that's got their home on the market and days on market's accumulating, that's opportunity. If you've written offers and lost out, if you're falling in one of those categories, that's who can really take advantage of these next couple of weeks here in the month of August.
Yep, I agree.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk about SEPTA. We've got some other local information as well. And we got 5 killer new listings coming to the market this week. We'll be right back on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
Mortgage service and great rates on your money. Look no further than Mortgage America.
What did you think of that call with him, by the way?
Greater Philadelphia area for 40 years.
I thought it was pretty good.
I think he's a little all over
access to home purchasing. Whether you're a first-time buyer,
a little bit of a
downsizing, or just
I'll tell you about that. I don't want to do this now. I have a clear strategy in my head here to leverage this.
And access to subsidized interest rates. Pre-approval is free. No costs or commitments. To learn more, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000. We always have a
That's
person
a funny
available to
story about my
take your
cousin. I'll tell you when we get
call
done.
on the
Oh,
clock
okay.
cleaning service. Purchase your home
Guys, it's a
with a
disaster.
personalized
Which
local
one? The one that I
service
met?
Yeah, the one that you died.
Oh my gosh.
I'm Tom Toole of the Tom Toole Sales Group at Remax Main Line. If you're
It's a
thinking of
continuation of all the
becoming
stuff
a
you guys
real
were
estate
talking
agent in the
about.
greater
Oh my
Philly
gosh,
area,
I
I have a
love it.
special offer for you. Our team did $165 million.
It was weird
in
not seeing him.
volume
I was having a hard time not seeing Leo. Like, he called us on Friday. I was like so happy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
Our
like
agents
such a
love us
soft
because
like
we offer them a successful
Yeah.
career, a great life,
And Maddie
an
left on
unbeatable
Saturday. No,
Agents who've
Sunday.
been with us for at
My
least
mom.
a year,
And now
average
she should be
30+
home when I
sales.
get back.
Even our brand
Today.
new
That's
agents
only 2
average
nights, but I'm
17
like,
to
how'd you
20
do it?
sales a
Yeah,
year.
it's weird.
well, it's weird. I mean, it's
And
funny how
expert
quickly
training.
I
We
can
help you
very
set more
easily adjust to not
appointments and sell
parenting and
more
just be like,
houses.
oh, I can just lay
Now,
here.
here's the offer.
Why?
Also,
If
I'm
you
like
don't
pretty
have a real
pregnant.
estate
So
agent,
You're in a
it's
little
like-
different spot than I am. Yeah, that's what
I've
I'm
just
saying.
been like on the couch and it's been
Check
phenomenal.
it out at
So what are you
But I
gonna have
do
to break
miss
in
it.
this new couch now, Sarah? What's
I
going
know.
on?
I know.
Sales Group at Remax Main
When
Line
I'm
at
like, I like
tomtoole.com.
soft things and
That's
Eric likes firm, like
tomtoole.com.
firmer,
Get more
like
out of
beds,
your real estate
couches,
career,
like
and
things
remember,
like
the
that.
real
That's a
estate
problem.
golden rule.
You guys get one
gotta
of those
get
sleep number,
firmer ones.
get the sleep number bed. Right,
Yeah,
where you
I
can
know.
adjust it. I had to get a pillow for my shoulder because I sleep on it, and it's like it's been to the point where I'm like I try to lift it, I can't even like get my arm up.
Yeah.
I have this pillow, it's like a table, and I
Yeah.
have to like, and when if I roll over, because I only do it something, I can put my arm underneath, and there's not all the pressure on it, which is
Right.
nice. But
Yeah.
I spent like $60 on this freaking thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we
I
got
felt like I
it.
was buying a pregnancy pillow. I was
know,
looking
right?
on Amazon. That's all that came up.
Yeah. Well, we got it on It should arrive tomorrow. We got it on Wayfair.
It's gonna come in like 10 boxes.
Yeah, we didn't get to like try it out or anything.
We
but
got
it
all our
was like,
couches on Wayfair.
it was like $900. And
Yeah.
it was like, because we need the way that our thing is set up, the chase part is on the wrong side. So we're like losing all this space.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
need to set up like a baby changing station.
Good times.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Time, and we both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at Remax Main Line, the #1 Remax team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we've got an update on the SEPTA crisis. I still cannot believe this is even on the table for as large as the metro area that we live in. And we're going to talk about that as well as 5 killer new listings we've got and some other local information that's going on. So if you get some value out of this or you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. And if you want to schedule a call with Sarah to talk about how the SEPTA crisis could impact your real estate decision between now and the end of the year, you can do that with the link in the comments. She's got great advice and will guide you in the right direction. So yesterday, the Pennsylvania House passed a transit budget in effort to stave off cuts from SEPTA. The legislation passed the House 108 to 95 and it was a very partisan bill. Almost every Republican in the chamber objected to this, and the House is controlled by Democrats. So what happened was there's a sweeping public transportation bill. There's 3 days left. Now 2, right? I mean, you couldn't be cutting this any closer here. To secure funding needed to avoid massive service cuts to SEPTA. So they're talking about cutting like the Paoli-Thorndale line, a ton of buses, major regional rail, and then right now, so the Senate is convening today, right now, to look at approving this, but then it's also got to get signed off on by the governor. It's Bill HB 1788. It would fund transit systems plus road and bridge projects in all 67 counties of the Commonwealth. That was a big sticking point because once you get outside like the 4-county area, who's using SEPTA? And it would also invest in SEPTA to avoid looming cuts. This includes highway funding. It increases aid for transit agency operations by $292 million or 25% more. And the lion's share of that is going to go to SEPTA. And the problem is SEPTA's got to make decisions now about like staffing, who's going to be working. You can't just like pass the bill and it's all good. The deadline was August 24th, so we're 12 days away right now. And it will be the most, they're saying this will be more drastic than any other cut undertaken by a major transit agency in the U.S., and the cuts would take effect on the 24th. It's the 6th largest national public transportation system, and half of the services would be gone by January 1st.
Is it just like we're not enough people using it where they're saying like
there's no money?
Okay.
I mean, I always wonder about that because I don't take the train often, right?
Right.
When I do, usually when I go, it's like a sporting event.
Yeah.
And it's packed.
Yeah.
The commuter lines are packed, but then you got all these lines going back and forth in the middle of the day. I mean, there's sometimes you get on there and there's like nobody on. So I don't know. And the fares under this plan, the fares would go up 21.5%. You want to talk about inflation? That's a big jump. September 1st, and then the agency is also going to impose a hiring freeze, which could be another problem. Now, one side is saying we need to shore up the public transportation agencies around the state. It's critical to the economy and make sure people can get to work, which I agree with. I think a lot of people do rely on that. People also they go to school that way. They go to doctor's appointments. It's not just one side. The other side of the aisle saying that the transit agencies need to become more efficient and highways need more state funding and transit riders should pay higher fees. So what do you think about it? Are they going to get a deal done? What's your reaction here, Sarah? I mean, this is just I can't believe we're talking about this again, and it's so close right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you rely on that as public, if you rely on that for your transportation, and you don't have another option, that could put you in a really bad position.
Yeah. You might have to quit your job.
Right. Right. I mean, and if you let's say you just purchased a home or something based on the fact that you were right off of a major line that you would be able to use to get into the city or to get where you need to go. And then that goes away. That's a big, bummer.
Yeah.
If you just based because that's not something that you think is going to go away, you assume that's always going to be there. So yeah, I mean, I think obviously there's going to be two sides to any story here. So maybe figuring out if there are a lot of times throughout the day where it is pretty empty or whatnot, and then just kind of firming up this schedule to where it makes a little bit more sense. But then that could also further reduce, you kind of expect there always to be a train, at least not every minute or every 5 minutes, but
it's every half hour.
Yeah. But you expect that you're going to be able to get one relatively quickly. So if suddenly then they reduce the schedule to where it's only every 2 hours or something in the middle of the day, that might have you not use it because maybe you're going to take an Uber. Maybe you're going to, I don't know.
Ubers are also expensive. I mean,
Ubers are also expensive.
I had to get a rental car and they only had one rental car. It was some ridiculous luxury car. And it's the only one they had, but it was still cheaper than me taking Ubers back and forth to my appointments all day long. So I just got it. It was only a day. I had something wrong with my car. So I think that's a really great point as well.
Yeah. But sometimes timing is going to be more important than cost.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think I'm not sure what they're going to do. I hope they are able to figure something out though.
I mean, I don't know how you can operate like this. I mean, there's all these provisions in the bill. And the funding is up to $325 million in borrowing authority for highway projects and $275 million for improvements to smaller rural roads. Because I mean, the highways in Pennsylvania are not in great shape either. I feel like every time I go down the Schuylkill, I'm like, am I gonna get a flat tire or something like that? So this bill, I don't see how you don't pass this. I mean, I would be shocked if it doesn't get passed, but politicians do dumb stuff. So I mean, do you think this makes it through the Senate? I guess is probably first question.
The 24th. A week.
Well, no, it's in the Senate right now.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think it's going to go through because I mean, the Senate is Republican controlled, right? Politics are what they are. The House is Democrat controlled. I don't think it's going to make it through. I tend to agree with you. I think they're going to kick it back and put a bunch of pork in there or something like that. So, I get really concerned for the people that have to get to work. I think this could be, I mean, just imagine you take forget the train, the bus. I mean, the buses are around all the time and it's a problem. I mean,
and that's also concerning for all of the employees that work for them, not knowing when the decision's going to be made and what's going to happen to your job security.
Well, and then you also got folks, and this is not just college kids. In the city of Philadelphia, a lot of students take SEPTA to school. I mean, especially if you're going to a private school. My wife did this. I mean, she went to Hallahan. She lived in Roxborough. Like, she would take SEPTA every day. So, I mean, that, if you can't get kids to school, this is just going to be a real problem. So, I don't know how you don't pass it, but I don't have confidence that it's going to get passed. At the same, I think it's one of those things that's going to happen. So,
Yeah.
it's I hope the right thing happens and they come to some sort of deal. And so, are you ready for the number of jobs that could be cut?
Yes.
76,700.
That's a lot.
And it's $6 billion in lost potential earnings, and that's beyond SEPTA employees. That includes workers in businesses and industries that rely on SEPTA. So that's where all those jobs come from. That's a ton of jobs that could go away. That can really hurt the economy. I mean, and they're kind of it's like point of no return if they don't. It's going to be 40% of services that get cut. So this is not good.
And we're like a major city here.
Yeah,
like you expect there to be different elements of public transportation. Like it just as a given.
I agree with you. It's a real problem. So we'll probably talk about this next week. I mean, we'll see what happens. There's no news on the state's website right now for HB 77 and the bill information. Although they do have. Well, let's see here. Hold on. I'm not interested in how to read a bill, for sure. Let's see here. So it's been amended. This is yesterday. So yeah, it's going to the Senate now. So that's really all we have at this point. So we'll see where that goes. There's some other local news as well I wanted to hit on before we talk about these new listings. So this is pretty interesting. I don't know if you've been following this. Have you seen? Do you follow like the Little League World Series at all, Sarah? I'm sure you're a huge fan. So the Glenmore Eagle Little League is going to the Little League World Series, which I think is really cool. So this is out in like Downingtown area, Glenmore. That's the Glenmore Eagle Little League. They're going to the Little League World Series. Very cool. This is not like this has happened a lot, and these games get televised. They said 50,000 people from Pennsylvania will be watching the Little League World Series. That's a lot of people to watch like a Little League game.
Yeah.
And the last time this happened, when media played there, the Philadelphia Phillies played the Little League World Series. They had like Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, all these guys are in the stands, and they were doing that celebration they did from Major League 2. You ever seen Major League?
No.
I'll show you the video later. I think everyone knows what I'm talking about, where it's like wildly inappropriate celebrations at the Little League World Series. So very exciting for Glenmore Eagle Little League. I think that's a really cool thing. We've got another piece of news as well. This is wild to me. Tell me if you live by Wayne. There are recent reports of a string of pickpocketing incidents at upscale restaurants in Wayne, where local police are investigating multiple cases targeting diners in busy establishments. Have you heard about this at all? Does this happen to anybody you know?
No. Interesting. No, I haven't heard of that.
Well, and I think that, I mean, like everyone, like North Wayne Avenue is like a pretty happening spot, right? Yeah. And I mean, they got we were there for a team dinner with Realtor.com. Well, the Blue Elephant, like, was awesome. You've obviously got Teresa's right there. What's the
Goat's Beard?
Goat's Beard. I always forget the name of that place. It's great. They got one in Manayunk too. Do you think that's going to deter people from going there if they're getting pickpocketed? Like, is that going to stop anyone from going to North Wayne Avenue?
I mean, probably not. I guess like depends on like how bad it gets. Like I wasn't aware of it, so I would have just walked in blind.
Now, in your defense, I don't think you're going out a lot these days to dinner with peace and love here. So.
Yeah. Very true.
So apparently there's 3 suspects who are getting unsuspecting people doing ordinary things like eating and shopping along the main line. It's in Radnor Township. They've apparently identified these folks. They've had 4 different incidents of pickpocketing at local restaurants and bars in the Radnor Township area. And they actually caught it on surveillance, which I would imagine most of these places have cameras.
Right. Well, and like, what are they trying to get? Cash?
Yeah, I mean, and they're very methodical. So I've never been pickpocketed before, thankfully, but there was that movie, Matt Damon was in it, where he's on like the subway, and like the subway hits a bump, and it's like he bumps into the person, grabs their wallet right out of it. It sounds like they know exactly what they're doing, and apparently there's 2 men. They wear hats when they go inside, and then they use their sport coat to shield them from like getting wallets and purses and different things. So they've taken cash, credit cards. they spend tons of money on the credit cards, like at the King of Prussia Mall and some other spots. So I guess watch yourself if you're out in Wayne.
Yeah. So, and it's only been, did it say how many total incidences?
There was 4 different, and this is all like in the month of July. So
interesting. Yeah. No, I hadn't heard of that.
Well, apparently it's going on in Wayne. So I mean,
guard up.
Well, it makes you, I think what people need to realize is that, like, some people think like you're invincible when you live in the suburbs. Like, this stuff can happen anywhere. And I don't think it's anything good or bad, but just be careful when you're out at these places, and they get pretty crowded in there. Even we were there on a Monday night. It was like kind of tight at that bar that we were at. So I would be very mindful of that if you're out in the main line. The last thing here, and I want to talk about, there's a couple school districts that are putting cell phone bans into their technology integration plan. Tredeffert Easttown is debating this plan as well, having a cell phone ban and increasing STEM funding. What do you think about banning cell phones at schools?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've all right. When I was in school, I did have a cell phone. Were we allowed to have it in school? Probably not.
I didn't get a cell phone until I was in college, because I'm so much older.
I got a cell phone when I was 16, when I got for driving. But I mean, all it could do was call and text. Like, it didn't.
Yeah, I had one of those. I didn't even have texting. I just had calling.
Yeah. Do you have like the phone in a bag plug-in?
Yeah, it was. I had like it was like a car phone almost. Yeah, it was like almost a car phone.
Yeah,
not quite.
we had those. It came in like a little zipper bag, and But no, I mean, I did have like a cell phone when I was 16, but I guess it didn't. I don't know. I mean, I think it makes sense that you wouldn't have phones in school, because like that's obviously going to be a huge distraction. Then if that's how you always get a hold of people, or for like parents needing to contact, I don't know. But like, how did parents contact us when we were in school? You had to like call the school and call the office and get a message. Like,
we had a payphone in my high school.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that you should be allowed to just have your phone on you all the time as like a right. You know what I mean? Like, you're in school. Like, you could be using that to cheat. You could be using it.
Calculators on here, yeah.
Right. Like, there's a lot of the notes sections. You could take pictures of tests and send it to like people that have that class after you. Like, I don't think it should be a right. Like, your phone isn't like equivalent to being able to like breathe, even though people think it is. I don't think it should be like a right that you just get to have it.
So my kids have theirs banned. So they're both in middle school, and like they have after school activities and stuff. So it's more for us to get in contact with them.
Yeah.
My daughter uses it a lot more than my son. No surprise there. And they have to put it in their locker, and it's bell to bell basically. So in TE right now, the ban is from 8:05 to 2:53 a.m. to p.m. Phones have to be turned off and put away during class unless a teacher permits it. Students may use phone in the cafeteria during lunch and after dismissal. I think that's too much personally for college is a different thing. We're talking about high school and middle school. And now they're talking about a full bell to bell ban that would make it and they would even have like a locking pouch. Like, you ever go to like a concert or something?
Yeah.
Like I saw Chris Rock, and you had to literally put your phone in there and they would lock it. And if you wanted to go outside and use it, that was the only way you could use it. Yeah. So that seems a little extreme.
It does seem extreme. I can imagine it's the only way to actually have it enforced.
I agree with you.
Because people will probably bring in like a fake phone to be like, oh, I locked this one up. Or even if you get like the lock-in ban, I bet people will find ways around it. I mean, if you want to get around it, you're going to get around it. But yeah, I mean, I think that's fine to have certain times that you're not allowed to be on it.
I am all for this ban because I think, like you said, there's cheating. There's a lot of other things. You're distracted all the time. Right, I mean, like you see these people, I saw a car accident the other day. Actually, not the other day. It was a couple weeks ago. Looking at their phone, they smacked right into a car. Like, people aren't going to be paying attention in school, which is the whole point. So
when I think like the earlier that you can keep them off of screens to some degree, the better. Like, I just feel like,
I could not agree with you more. I think this is a very smart thing to do. And, if I'm a teacher, I mean, we do this at our meetings. We ask people to put their phones down. Yeah. Like, what's the difference? I mean, if we're asking for that professionally, I don't think there's a problem with that at all. So I think it makes a lot of sense to do that. So
and it shouldn't be like there shouldn't be an expectation there from kids that like it's their right to have a phone on them at all times. Like, no, it's not.
I totally agree with you, Sarah. I'm all for this ban Now, there's another ban kind of floating around, and then we'll jump to these new listings here. And I see this on a lot of like parent sites. They say no, like wait until 8th for a cell phone. And what do you think about that? I mean, obviously, my kids are not in 8th grade and they have cell phones. But what do you think about this? Like wait until 8th, like sort of ban that goes on that people are talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's ways that kids can still like you can get those like watches. I mean, and I don't know if this is like a loophole there, but like you could get those like watches or whatever that you can, if it is like a safety thing for like they're walking to and from like a sports activity, or you've got you pickups and drop offs
Mhm.
or whatnot, like where you can still, it's like you have what, like 2 or 3 phone numbers that like are on it, and like, and that's what it does. It calls those. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's fine. Like if you need to integrate that in earlier, if that makes sense earlier, fine. But yeah, no, like kids don't need to have, all you're doing is reinforcing that that screens are important and that it's like your right to have screens and yada yada yada, like very early on. And then the more that people do it, then you're the weirdo if you don't have it. So then you kind of, as a parent, almost like have to let them have it because like you don't want your kid to be the weirdo.
Yeah.
And like, you know,
Kids are mean enough as it is.
right. Like, so I don't know. Like, I think, yeah, I like you don't need one like so early on. And I know, and the more that people do it, the more they think they do, and then the more they actually do. So
Yeah.
like if everybody just kind of like holds it off a little bit, they have the rest of their lives to be on screens and you know, yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. I think you got to look at your situation. Like if you're dropping your kids off or you need communication with them, there's not like a payphone to go call them. So I think that's the thing you have to think about here. And everyone's going to be different. Like our daughter's like, she's at dance class for hours on end. So, I mean, that's a little bit of a different situation. I think you got to be very careful imposing your values on somebody, whatever's going on with your family. Because if you're in like a one working parent household versus 2, it can be a little different as well.
Right. And I think that there are like different stages of what can, it's not like it has to be all or nothing. Like I feel like you can get products that are like restricted to more just like phone calls or like texts for like limited numbers of contacts or whatever. Cause like we do live in a different world today than we did before.
I definitely did not have a phone when I was in high school. All right, interesting stuff here. We'll see. I think TE should pass the ban. I mean, it's going to help kids learn a little better. They got enough distractions as it is. So we got 5 new listings hitting the market this week. The first one, really unique opportunity. It's at 3409 Frankfurt Avenue in Port Richmond. This is on a double lot with a 4-bay garage in the back. It's I think there's a lot of opportunity here to maybe develop this, build a couple new properties. I mean, 4-bay garage in Port Richmond on Frankfurt Avenue is pretty incredible. And it's a double wide lot that's 36 feet wide. Asking price of $450. The property's in pretty great shape itself. Incredible opportunity in Port Richmond, and that's by appointment only. 3409 Frankfurt Avenue, $450,000.
Yep. We've got another one coming up here. 212 Claremont Drive in Newtown Square. This is a townhouse. It's an interior. It's got 4-bed, 3.5 bath, 3,792 square feet. So like this is a large place. Like I think that sometimes when you hear townhome, you're thinking smaller, but not the case here. This is in the neighborhood, the Grand at Muirwood. Excellent condition, and definitely come and check it out.
Yeah, this has a first floor master as well, which is pretty great. So, and that's also being shown by appointment here. The next property we got is this property on Wheatsheaf Way in Collegeville. This is a carriage home built in 2018. It's 3,400 square feet. It's 3 beds, 3 full, 2 half baths. It's in Upper Providence Township, so right off of Route 29, Springford Schools. This is has an asking price of $875. Showings are going to start on Friday. It's got a finished basement. Really nice place. Monster house. I mean, this is another property, like you said. It's even though it's attached, it's got a lot of square footage there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got 2 more here real quick. So one's at North Gate Road in Wilmington. This is a 2,600 square foot single family home, 4 beds, 2.5 baths, asking price of $589,900. That's going to be shown on Friday as well. It's got a 1/4 acre lot. Really great shape. This place is in nice condition, very well cared for. And the last property, you want to take this
Yeah, we
one,
got
Sarah?
734 East 25th Street in Chester. This is a twin, 3-bed, 1.5 bath, 1,300 square feet. Come check it out. It hits the market on the 15th.
All right, we'll catch you guys next week. We'll see what happens with SEPTA. You want to follow Sarah? She's at Ty_TieTime on Instagram. You can follow me at TomToole3RD. And we'll be back next week on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.